Hello Andrew, here we are. This is your entrance gate halfway to the property for you to cross. There's this leg of fence here, which I reckon is not formally part of your boundary. However, I suspect you'd want it up together. In fact, I think I installed it myself. Might be stock proof at the moment, but doesn't look terribly strong. If you're you could just do a couple of stakes or stick some horizontal rails in as well if you were feeling adventurous. Call this number 1 on the map, okay? This is number 2 on the map. Number 2 on the map. It's a horrible birch which is threatening your fence. I wouldn't do it specifically, I wouldn't come up here specially. However, if you happen to be walking past it with the chainsaw, you might consider taking it off because the weight distribution is horrible. While you're at it, next door is an oak tree with some pretty you can see this bough here that I'm going to zoom in on. Follow that bough back and that's all draped over the fence. Not actually doing any harm to it yet. You might want to take those two off, take an hour with the chainsaw if you happen to be passing it. That's number 2. Okay, this is number 3 on the map. It's where I cut down a willow that was over, you can just see the bits in the corner of the screen, where I cut down a willow last year. There's lots of fence stakes here that could do with replacing. They're a bit rotten at the bottom. I say lots. I think about 7 would do the job for this section of fence. I need just a very short section of barbed wire as well, where the sheep are going under the fence. I'll just give it a bit of a waggle for you. This is the kind of idea, can you see that? Just stake after stake broken off at the bottom, but I think 7 would do the job. And that's just beneath Penrhua. What a place you work, Andrew. Okay, back to work. This is number 5 on the plan. Number 4 you don't have a picture of. If you look on your plan, there's a single red dot of yours that indicates a short leg of fence running perpendicular to the dothia. That doesn't actually exist. That's why I've noted that one. Number 4, that little leg doesn't actually exist. This is number 5 on the plan. Big bough of birch. It requires a chainsaw. You can see my rucksack in the foreground. Just to give you some sense of scale, it's big and it needs a chainsaw. Okay, I'm on the path through the paddocks, and this, unlike number 5, which might take, I don't know, 3/4 of an hour to sort out when I've sorted out the fence, this one looks slightly more involved. There's 2 or even 3 trees here that are down. Hang on, I'll go steady for you now in a sec. There's a lot of timber here, and really all this timber ought to come back into it ought to get pulled out and humped back over the fence, which will take a certain amount of time. I'd give 2.5 to 3 hours for this lot. That's number 6. Okay, this is number 7 on the map. This is the entrance into the paddock. There's a bit of a lump here, a lump of wood that's leaning on the fence. I'd be very tempted if I was walking past to chop that off with the chainsaw. It wouldn't take half a minute. Okay, this one is number 8. Number 8. It's a medium-sized ash tree. It would take 1 person with a chainsaw. How long? A couple of hours. No, not a couple of hours. Take about an hour, including fixing the fence, assuming I could just leave the wood lying around, which I think it's okay here to do that. Of course, if I have 2 people here, half all those times. This is number 9. Number 9 is a mid-sized birch on the fence. Wouldn't take long to clear. 20 minutes perhaps. Okay, this is number 10. I'm just giving an indication here of the state of the straining posts. I mean, it's wrecked basically. Number 10. Okay, I'm at number 11 now. Between 10 and 11 the stakes are alright, the fence is basically stock proof. But so stakes okay, but the straining posts are wrecked. Have a look at this. I seem to recall this was the case last year. I won't bother recording all of them, but basically the straining posts have had it. That's number 11. We'll call this one number 12. Another straining post for your entertainment. Let me see the bottom of this thing. There's nothing there. Okay, I reckon in terms of counting materials, if I got 4 straining posts along that top section where it says 10, 11, 12, up to where I am now, 12, 4 straining posts and maybe 7 stakes, you could bolster up what is currently stock proof but just looking tired. That's number 12, okay? This is number 13. I remember taking a photograph of this tree that's come out of the woods and is hung over the fence. I mean, you're still stock proof. Between 12 and 13 there's one dead rowan which is hanging perilously over the fence, which if you happen to pass by with a chainsaw you'd get rid of in 5 minutes. If there's any blessing along this top section, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, it's that no sheep in its right mind would really want to get out of here into the woods, and no sheep would probably be in the woods at this place either. It's all a bit sort of unappetising as far as the sheep's concerned. That's number 13. Hi Andrew, back at the bridge. Where were we? I think I've told you what 13 is. 14 is... oh, it's tiny. Gap under the fence. I'm going to need a little bit of barbed wire and a stake. 15... oh yeah, I don't need to do anything here, you're stock proof, but I just wanted to make a note that the netting along there is quite rusty. And perhaps you'd want to budget a new section of fence, that whole line with the 15 against it. Perhaps that would want to go in the next sort of 5-year budget for replacing netting, barbed, the whole lot. Because the netting's rusty right down to sort of thin bits of metal. It hasn't actually started breaking yet, but it's definitely on its last legs as netting goes. 16, perhaps 3 stakes I need there, a few staples, 3 just strengthening what's already there. It's basically okay, and it's basically in a relatively good shape along that whole section up on the top because of the work I did last year. Oh yeah, I've just cut a big birch off the fence coming down this very steep hill down to the double gates. Excuse me. I did that by hand, but it was worth doing because it means I don't have to go back with the chainsaw, which is good. However, it's now getting dark and I haven't done the culverts across your path. I haven't cleared those, and I haven't cleared the ditches. I haven't cleared out the ditches there up on the steep track up to Penrhea. So, assuming I go back in and do some more work either with a chainsaw or with fencing materials, I'll do those on that occasion. Okay.